This is the one pack that I carry everywhere, every day. It's got some essentials in it to get me through the day, maybe overnight if I needed to, but it's not really a survival pack for the field per se. But what I am going to talk about now is I call it my blowout bag or my bug out bag. Kind of give you a little bit of history on the bug out bag. I noticed on the internet, I see a lot of people talk about bug out bags and survival bags. So I'll give you a little bit of history how that whole term came up. It was actually during Desert Storm. I was inside of Iraq, quite a ways inside of Iraq, and the British were also operating in the same AO, and they made contact. And what happened, this came from a lesson learned. You know, guys had to run, they got compromised, had to run, and basically they had to grab whatever they could grab to survive off it, because they had to leave their vehicles and they were on foot and they were just scattering because they made contact and were not able to stay and defend. They had to run and start the evading strategy. So the whole idea of a bug out bag came to mind when I was in the unit, when I was in the Delta Force, and the idea was to create a small bag that we could attach to the outside of our vehicles. So if we ever get caught in a scenario where we have got to run and we can't get to the vehicles, we can't do anything anymore, we're just overwhelmed, then at least we can grab a bag off the sides of the vehicles, and in that bag there's some essentials in there that we can use to survive off over some extended period of time, especially in extreme conditions like desert, cold weather, etc. So that's how the whole idea of the bug out bag and that terminology came about. And so it's been something that I've always kind of kept in my repertoire, so to speak. So this is my bug out or my blowout bag, whatever you want to call it. And what I do with my blowout bag, it's set up for that scenario where...
Hey, it's Jimbo over here at TRS Survival with another tip for you. This may be one of the most important tips you ever get if you're ever caught in an urban meltdown. Like say there was a complete breakdown of our modern society, like if the power grid went down for a long time or something like that. Our own government estimates that within 6 months of a massive power grid failure, a shocking 90% of urban Americans will die. Are you ready for something like this? Most guys aren't, or they think they are, but they're really not. Mainly because they've been listening to and getting bad advice from the wrong people. Because while some folks will band together and help each other, most people will simply panic and resort to looting, brutality, and even murder to survive. You can imagine how desperate and dangerous things are going to get, which is why I brought in former Delta operator and Green Beret Dale Comstock to give you the real scoop. Dale's been a combat soldier for over 30 years, and he's seen up close and personal what really happens when a modern society like ours suddenly comes to a crashing halt. It's not pretty, and the survival of you and your family will have little to do with bushcraft skills or what kind of tree bark is safe to eat. So Dale will show you 2 vital survival tips. Number 1, he'll show you exactly what gear and supplies you should pack in your bug out bag or rucksack, and it's probably not what you think. Most people don't have anything like this ready, or they load up their sacks with the wrong kind of equipment and survival gear. These mistakes can cost you your life, but now you'll know precisely what you have to have ready and what you can do without. And number 2, you'll discover how to operate as a military patrol unit in a live combat situation. Okay, these are advanced military combat tactics almost never taught to civilians. It's intensive instruction that will have you and your buddies or your family operating like a well-oiled combat-ready commando unit. Okay, I wish I could show these videos to you right here, right now, but I can't. I can't risk having my channel banned. But you can get them all for free. Just click on the link in the description. I'll see you there.
Something happens, I'm in my vehicle, and I've got to get out of the car and I've got to run. I got to run for the hills. And this can be kept in my trunk all the time. And basically I get out, I grab it, throw it, and go. And what I'll do now is I'll talk about a little bit about the contents and what I can and can't do with it. But it's pretty much got quite a bit of stuff in it. And I'll talk about each piece of equipment and how it's used. But 2 people could live off this little backpack. And I say 2 people because I have the ability to basically filter water, to contain water. I actually have enough gear in here to keep you warm if it's hot. I've got a sleeping bag in here. I've got a lot of cool little things in here, but I can manage 2 people out of this bag. It won't be super comfortable, and again, it depends on the conditions. And that's another thing to consider when you're planning and you're prepping your gear is your environment. Again, remember what I said in the beginning, do your area study analysis. I live down here in Florida. The temperatures are pretty warm all year round. And so if I really had to bug out, in the local area, I could get away and survive on what's in here. I'm not going to freeze to death at night. Whereas if you're in the north somewhere, you might want to rethink what you put inside your backpack. And again, it's seasonal too, right? Because winter might be very cold and the summers might be very hot. So part of your preparation is constantly inspecting your gear and constantly adapting it for, you know, the seasonal changes. With all that said, another lesson I learned, I keep learning it the hard way, is especially with electronics, like your night vision goggles, anything that has batteries in them, what you don't want to do is leave your batteries in them. You want to take them out, all right? But always keep fresh batteries on hand and rotate them out of your pack. If you leave batteries in your electronics, like your two-way radios, your night vision devices, over time they start to corrode, and then what happens is they don't work. Even though you take the batteries out, put new ones in, you got issues, right? So part of this process is maintaining your gear. The other thing I found is that with a lot of this stuff, the synthetic materials, if you bag it up and you leave it just bagged up for years, when you pull it out, it starts to mildew, it starts to dry rot. The gear, the shell, the linings, everything starts to fall apart and it starts to degrade. So with that said, you need to constantly take your gear out, maintain it, clean it, keep it operational. So what you can't do, or you shouldn't do, is pack something up, throw it in the trunk and leave it in there for 10 years and then expect it to be everything to function 10 years from now. It's going to get degraded. So it's a constant process of rotating the contents, inspecting it for functionality, and checking your electronics for operationality, and all those things that go along with it. So again, keep that in mind, because even guys like me that know better and have done this for years, you know, I get lazy or get too many things on my plate and I overlook something like, you know, maintaining my kit, and I come to look at it and realize, man, I just lost a nice night vision scope because I didn't take the batteries out 3 years ago and the batteries corroded on the inside. Or I got a nice backpack that's worthless because I let it dry rot while I didn't maintain it, and I got bugs and moths and stuff like that eating through it. So again, take that to heart, and just remember that when you're doing this kind of preparation. So this particular backpack, as I said, is my travel backpack, and I can adapt it a little bit. So for example, I actually have two variants of this. This one would be like my trunk backpack, my car backpack, you know, my bug out bag. And then I have my day pack, as I showed you earlier, and then I have a bag like this that I use as a travel bag. So, you know, this one here is pretty full, but a lot of times I travel with this size bag as well on an airplane, but I will still have all the other essentials like my toiletries. So if I get overnighted somewhere stranded, I've got that with me. I carry my binos everywhere I go, but I've also got survival items in here. So, you know, I get off the plane somewhere and I'm running for my life or something like that, at least I got something in it. Now granted, there's things on here that you couldn't carry in your backpack, like a machete on an aircraft, but doesn't mean I couldn't put it in my suitcase or something like that and recover it later. What do I have in the backpack? Well, first of all, when you pack any kind of a pack, whether it's a rucksack or a backpack like this, prioritize your gear. What are you most likely going to use? And also prioritize it by weight. So preferably you want all the heavy stuff on the top of your backpack towards your shoulders, okay? You want to center the weight high, and all the lighter stuff towards the bottom of the backpack. What you don't want to do, put all your heavy stuff on the bottom of the backpack and your light stuff on top, because what happens is, not so much on a smaller pack like this, but on the bigger packs, is you tend to lean back all the time because of the weight, and it starts to bother your lower back. It puts a lot of extra stress on your abdominal muscles. It's very tiring, and it also puts a lot of pressure on your traps on your shoulders. So, you know, what might seem comfortable in the first hour or two, after about 8 hours or a couple of days, it can be grueling and very painful and very uncomfortable, and it can wear you out a lot faster. So it's just like putting a saddle on a horse or something like that. You know, you got to use common sense, and it's got to have balance. And the best way to balance your weight on your body is have it close to the center line, your spine, and up high. You ever see the women in Africa and other parts of the world, you know, they're carrying all their weight on their head. You know, they're carrying these huge vessels with water, or they have a pack on their back with a strap around their head holding the weight, because they know if you can center the weight over your spine and use your head to balance everything, you can actually carry more weight. I mean, these people are carrying incredible weight by doing that and for long distances, because they know the secret is get that weight close to the center line of your body on that axis going up and down, and you'll maintain your balance much better, and you'll actually have a lot more endurance. So same thing applies with a backpack. The other thing I want to keep emphasizing is make sure everything's in a logical place that you're most likely going to use. On this particular one, I've got the canteen right here on the outside, and on the other side, I've actually got a drinking tube that I can use, and basically, it's a filter, is what it is. and it can be used about 500 to 1,000 times, depending on the water that you're drinking out of. But basically, you just insert one end to the water, and on the other end, you suck on it like a straw. And basically, you're sucking water through the pipe and filtering it as you're drinking it. And so that's on the outside also, because what I want to do, preferably, is keep my canteen full all the time and drink from a water source using my tube if I need to. Basically, I'm planning for that contingency. What happens if I run out of water sources to draw from and I need water? At least I have something still in my canteen to carry on with. If I'm drinking all my water out of my canteen and thinking, oh, next watering hole, I'll fill it up and I'll use my, it's kind of the wrong process. Kind of think conservatively, save, think of emergencies, extreme situations, contingencies. And this is what I'm doing when I save my water out of my canteen, and I just use my drinking tube, my filter, to sustain myself during that movement. So also I have a machete on the outside. Now basically, if you look at this thing, besides the colors, obviously the colors are very bright and they're yelling, look at me, look at me. What you could do is just take some, outdoor paint, hunter's paint or camouflage paint. If you want to, just clean it up and paint it so you subdue it. If you're concerned about, being detected, which I would be. In fact, I would paint this entire rucksack with camouflage paint. Just be aware that once you start doing that over time, it'll start to degrade the material a little bit, but it'll last quite a while. But basically, you have a machete. You've got serrated edges on it for sawing. Obviously, you got a sharp cutting edge, and then you've got a hook here. You can actually hook a line and cut it with it, and that's how it's used is a hook. Just make sure whatever you're using, the blade is strong enough that it's not going to break. Look at the edge and the steel and make sure that it's not going to dull too fast or rust up on you. And this one seems to be a pretty good knife right here, or a pretty good machete, whatever you want to call it, between a machete and a knife. But it's got a good length to it, it's got a good feel to it, it has actually pretty good balance to it. So I'd imagine you could probably do some pretty good damage to some trees and people with this thing if you needed it. But that's on the outside, where I can get to it quickly if I needed it as either a weapon or I need to start cutting things. Another thing I want you to bear in mind is when you pack something like this, a rucksack, when you start hanging more stuff on the outside and you're moving through dense foliage, these things start becoming snares, man. They start snagging everything, all right? So ideally, you want to keep everything nice and close. I didn't do that on this one because I was trying to demonstrate the knife, but actually what I would do is wrap this outer strand or this outer strap around the gear on the outside, remove all the strings because I don't need them, and cinch it down nice and tight so it's streamlined and this thing's not sticking out, grabbing on the branches and holding me up. Same thing with the canteen. So, think about that as well. Keeping your backpack streamlined, because when you are moving through dense brush, this becomes a problem after a while if it starts hanging up on everything, okay? So keep it nice and slick. On the bottom, I've got an axe here. You can put this axe anywhere you want it. This particular backpack is designed for climbing, like ice climbing and things like that. And it actually has, maybe you can see this, it's kind of beveled on the bottom and is designed that way for climbing and sitting and moving over ledges and rocks without getting hung up. It's nice and beveled so you can slide over them as you need to. And then you've got an ice axe, but in this case what I actually have is a hatchet. This particular hatchet was, it's called a Minuteman. It's a small hatchet. It can be used, one, as a weapon, but two, as a tool. The balance on it is really nice. It's nice and small and slick. Got a really good blade on it. It's made out of good steel, and it's American made. And again, it's a good little weapon and a good little tool to have for cutting things. It actually works pretty good as a knife as well. So again, just another item that I carry on the bottom of my backpack. Normally I would carry an ice axe on here. And again, you're going to adapt it based on the environment that you're operating. If you think you're going to be doing a lot of ice climbing, then maybe you want to put an ice axe down here. If you're going to be in the woods of Florida, you want one of these Minuteman hatchets on the bottom. All right. Let's go inside the bag. Start on the outside pocket. Now, a lot of stuff I left in the containers so you can see what the products are. But again, you dress it all down. You want to take all the extra dunnage and materials off these things that you don't need, boxes, wrappers, and everything. And you want to kind of make it as compact as you get it. So some of this stuff I've intentionally left in the containers just for you to look at it and get an idea of what I'm displaying to you. So
thanks for watching our video lessons here at TRS Direct. Hit the like button down below and consider subscribing to our channel here on YouTube. Hit the bell icon and we'll send you a notification when there's a new lesson available. Thanks again for watching.